Humanity is gone, extinct, done. But somehow one man not only survived the apocalypse, he's thriving. Dr. Glenn is the last human doctor alive, and his entire patient base is monster girls. 99% women. And because Glenn takes his medical oath extremely seriously, he has zero hesitation touching whatever needs to be touched to get the diagnosis done. Restricted areas included. No exceptions. Full professionalism. Every guy watching this just quietly reconsidered their career path. Long before anyone alive can remember, humans and monsters were locked in a full-scale war. By the time it ended, nobody could even explain what they were fighting about in the first place. So they did the reasonable thing, called it even, and agreed to coexist. Fast forward to the present, and the world has monster girls living alongside humans like it's completely normal. Because now it is. Enter Dr. Glenn, a human doctor who specializes in treating monster girl patients. His assistant is Safi, a half-snake, half-human who is brilliant, lethal, and completely down bad for her oblivious boss. Glenn is dedicated to his patients to a degree that makes everyone around him uncomfortable. He will examine anyone, anywhere, in any position necessary to get a diagnosis. He has zero awareness of how this looks. Safi has full awareness of how it looks and is not okay with it. They get a letter from Dr. Seathalhi, Glenn's teacher, half-human, half-octopus, legendary doctor, asking them to cover her patients at the arena while she's away. Glenn is thrilled. Safi immediately knows this is going to be a problem because the arena is full of monster girls and Glenn has the self-restraint of a golden retriever in a dog park. She is correct. One of the patients is Tzalia, a centaur, only daughter of a major transportation family, genuinely stunning. Glenn examines her, finds nothing wrong, tells her she's fine, and moves on. End of day, Tzalia's two attendants Kay and Rona pull Glenn aside and explain that Tzalia has been losing every single match for the past month. She's talented, hardworking, and has no business losing this much. Glenn, confident in his diagnosis, decides to watch a match to verify. She loses again, this time to a catgirl. Now Glenn sees what nobody else noticed. That night Glenn and Safi corner Tzalia during training. Safi restrains the centaur princess in a way that is technically medical and also absolutely not. Glenn puts iron horseshoes on her feet. Turns out Tzalia's royal pride had her refusing to wear iron shoes, which wrecked her balance and cost her every match. She is furious about the ambush. The next day she wins for the first time in over a month. She is slightly less furious. Quick flashback: during the war, Safi was taken as a hostage by Glenn's family to ensure her people wouldn't switch sides. While she was there, she and Glenn became close friends. When the war ended, she went home. Years later, they ended up at the same medical school and picked up right where they left off. That's the origin story of the most one-sided crush in medical history. Next, Glenn and Safi go shopping in Lindworm, a city built and governed by the dragon lady Scatty. Safi is thrilled because she has been planning to use this shopping trip as a seduction opportunity. Glenn thinks they're buying supplies. A mermaid in the marketplace spots them and calls them a cute couple. Safi, completely overwhelmed by this, drags Glenn toward her immediately. The mermaid is Lulala, a singer who performs for lovers and tips. Glenn senses something off and requests a song, then pays her 2 copper coins instead of 3. He offers a free checkup as the 3rd coin. As expected, Lulala can't finish the song. She starts coughing. Glenn examines her and finds blisters inside her mouth, then checks her gills with his bare hands because tools are apparently optional when you're Glenn. Diagnosis: she's been working 12-hour shifts out of the water. Her gills are inflamed, and her voice has been suffering the whole time. Lulala explains her father left, and she's been supporting her family alone. Mid-conversation, a kid falls into the river. Lulala dives in immediately. She pulls him out completely exhausted, then falls back into the water herself and starts drowning. Glenn dives in after her and performs mouth-to-mouth to get her gills working again. Safi uses her tail to drag both of them to safety. A few days later, Lulala is performing at City Hall, voice fully restored, financially stable, and has developed a significant crush on the doctor who put his mouth on hers for medical reasons. Glenn remains unaware. Meanwhile, somewhere in Lindworm, a woman is chasing criminals through the city on a one-woman mission to shut them down. She's fast, focused, and gets caught in their trap anyway. Next day at the clinic, Glenn and Safi are treating a slime girl whose temperature management situation requires handling that Glenn approaches with his trademark complete lack of boundaries. Then Lady Scatty arrives with her bodyguard Kunai. Scatty is a dragon-human hybrid who speaks so quietly that Kunai does all the talking for her. Kunai is a human-made golem built from actual human body parts, Frankenstein style, fully functional, deeply unimpressed by everyone. Kunai lost an arm in a fight last night. She wants it found and reattached. Scatty pulls her away before she can refuse help, but Kunai makes her position clear. She hates doctors. Bad history, bad outcomes, doesn't trust them. Safi she finds acceptable. Glenn she tells to stay home. She goes back out to find her arm herself. She falls into the same trap again. Glenn refuses to sit this out. He goes looking for the arm himself. He runs into Tazelia, who found Kunai's leg. He examines the stitching and determines whoever originally built Kunai was working with questionable credentials. He pushes deeper into the city and finds Lulala holding the arm. She hands it over and tells him the limbs can be used to track Kunai's location. He finds Kunai propped against a wall, missing an arm and a leg, and in a worse situation than that she can still hear the voices of every person whose body parts were used to build her. She's a walking radio station of other people's consciousness, and it never stops. She tells Glenn to leave. He puts on his glasses and goes full doctor mode, reattaches everything properly, connects all the blood vessels correctly, and tells her the improved connection might actually quiet the voices. It works. She thanks him while still hating doctors as a concept. She decides he might be a different category. Back at the clinic, Safi receives a harpy egg from a friend and immediately tries to use it to prank Glenn. Tells him she's pregnant. Glenn, who knows snakes lay eggs and is not fooled for a single second, asks to see the egg. It's an abandoned, unfertilized harpy egg someone found on the street. Before they can process this, bandits attack the front door. All human, which means Safi handles them efficiently. More bandits. Kunai shows up and explains the situation. These are slavers who kidnap harpies and force them to lay eggs for black market sale. The city council is occupied. The doctors, Kunai, Scatty, and Lulala form an impromptu strike team. Archers attack mid-mission. Tazelia arrives and handles them. Kunai and Tazelia take the outside while Glenn, Safi, and Scatty go in to find the captured harpies. The harpies are mostly okay. One is not. She has a stuck egg and is in serious pain. Glenn handles the delivery while Safi fights off bandits and flashes back to her own history. Her family originally sent her to Glenn's household as a spy with orders to eliminate them if the alliance broke down. The egg comes out safely. Safi takes a poison knife in the process and goes down, but the poison is low grade and she recovers fast. Glenn tells her the slavers are caught and everyone is safe. Safi decides right now is the moment to tell Glenn everything about her past as a spy. He tells her he already knew. His family investigated her background when she arrived. They knew she was there to potentially kill them. Glenn wanted to be her friend anyway. Safi is so overwhelmed she wraps him completely in her tail, arms, legs, all of it, and is about to do something with that situation when the poison pulls her back under. He will never know how close that was. Next day, the group heads to the Harpy village. Tazelia pulls their carriage through the mountain pass. A rock slide hits. Kay and Rona shield Tazelia, but Kay takes the impact and can't walk. Some male harpies show up and carry her to the village. Glenn examines the injury, mild sprain, needs rest. He then spends the rest of the day running a makeshift clinic for the whole village. That evening he steps outside and finds Rona looking lost and increasingly anxious. Kay's injury has her spiraling, and she almost derailed one of Tazalia's business deals. Tazalia asks Glenn to assess her. There's nothing physically wrong, it's a mental state. Safi suggests Rona has a personality type that needs external structure to function. Glenn, consulting ancient medical texts and his own professional judgment, tries a very specific approach. He blindfolds and restrains Rona. She immediately calms down and can focus. Glenn processes this outcome quietly. Rona processes nothing because she is now completely calm and functional. Kay and Rona then propose a joint arrangement where they both serve Glenn as his personal attendants if he agrees to marry Tazalia. They make this offer without subtlety or hesitation. Glenn, facing this situation head-on, declines clearly and completely. Kay and Rona remain optimistic about the future. The group visits Illy, the harpy Glenn treated during the bandit raid, who has been avoiding his follow-up care. Since the incident, she can't fly, and her confidence has collapsed entirely. Glenn examines her and finds nothing medically wrong. He determines she's in a molting phase, losing old feathers to grow new ones. Illy rejects this diagnosis loudly and runs out. Tazalia follows her and learns Illy wanted to be a gladiator and idolizes Tazalia's fighting career. Illy challenges Tazalia to a fight and loses decisively. Tazalia grabs one of Illy's feathers during the match. Glenn analyzes it and realizes this isn't normal. Molting Illy has phoenix blood. She's not losing feathers. She's upgrading them. He collects every fallen feather he can find around the village and finds her to explain. Days later, Illy proves it herself by launching into the sky on brand new rainbow-colored wings. Glenn examines a feather and wonders exactly how much phoenix is in her bloodline. Before leaving, the doctors hold a wing and claw care clinic for the village. On the way out, a group of harpies stumbles in completely covered in thick white webbing. Spider silk. It's everywhere in the forest. They follow the trail and find Arania, a spider woman, renowned dressmaker, and Safi's best friend. Arania is overjoyed to hear about Illy's wings and follows them back to the village immediately. She introduces herself to Illy and requests to touch her feathers. Just one stroke, maybe a small squeeze, strictly professional. Next day, the girls head to the hot springs to recover. Back at the clinic, Arania finds Glenn alone and decides this is her moment. She lures him into the forest and traps him in her web. Her plan involves getting significantly closer to both Glenn and Safi. She's laying it on thick when Tazalia appears and cuts Glenn free. Arania tries to argue that she and Tazalia want the same thing. Tazalia shuts this down. Her feelings for Glenn are real, not a scheme, and there's a clear difference. They're about to fight when Safi arrives, scolds everyone, and removes Glenn from the situation entirely. Back at the clinic, Safi pours Glenn a drink and then pours out everything she's been holding back. She tells him she loves him. She says he doesn't have to feel the same way. She knows how his attention tends to get distributed, but she needed him to know. Before Glenn can respond, loud noise erupts outside. The entire village pours out into the street. A massive goddess named Gigas is approaching, and she does not look calm. Nobody knows why she's angry. Tazalia immediately starts calculating whether killing a goddess would lock in a marriage proposal. Glenn and Safi catch up to her and try to talk her down. Then the goddess sneezes hard enough to shake the entire forest. She introduces herself as Dione and explains she came because she heard there was a doctor nearby. She has a cold. Glenn examines her. It is a cold. He prescribes medication and asks Arania to make her some warm clothing. Crisis resolved. Giant goddess goes home healthy and clothed. Glenn reopens his clinic and has dinner with Tazalia, who has decided this is a date and announces she was prepared to die fighting a goddess if it meant securing his affections. Safi arrives and joins the table. Tazalia continues her pitch anyway. The next day, the group travels to Lindworm's waterways for a ceremony. Glenn notices something off about Scatty's tail during the procession. Scatty collapses mid-speech in front of the entire city. At the hospital, Glenn and Safi are locked out of Scatty's medical records. Everything runs through Dr. Sithulhi. her primary physician. They knock on Cethalhi's door and get greeted by a full tentacle embrace. Cethalhi is delighted to see her student. Safi calls this unprofessional. Cethalhi gently sets Glenn back on the ground. The diagnosis is severe. An extremely rare disease has spread throughout Scatty's body, causing dangerous blood pressure spikes. The fact that she has functioned normally this long is medically remarkable. Dragons are harder to treat than any other species. They're stronger, more resilient, and the root cause of her illness is still unknown. Back at the clinic, Glenn stitches Kunai's hand and learns that Scatty has been refusing treatment. Kunai believes she needs surgery whether she wants it or not. Glenn agrees to examine Scatty, which requires entering her bedroom. Safi drops what she's holding. In Scatty's room, she allows the examination but doubts anything can help her. She shows Glenn a blue-colored second heart beating in her chest, a cancerous tumor attached to most of her veins. She believes this is simply what happens to dragons who tried to exist in a human world. Their ancestors paid a price in the war, and the current generation carries it. Glenn begins examining her anyway: scales, tail, wings, everything. Scatty becomes emotional. She starts crying. Kunai rushes in, finds Scatty on the floor in a situation that looks significantly more concerning than it is, and glares at Safi, who is also not happy. Scatty announces she's going to bed. Next morning, Glenn and Safi propose a surgical plan to Cethalhi: disconnect Scatty's tumor heart from her real heart, reroute the veins, remove the threat. It requires multiple skilled hands working simultaneously. Cethalhi's tentacles make her the ideal surgeon for this. She refuses immediately, calls Glenn naive. Glenn reminds her that nobody wants to save Scatty more than she does. Cethalhi goes quiet, then wraps both of them in tentacles. She's in. They need one more skilled set of hands. Glenn suggests Arania her needlework and precision make her the best available option. She refuses, worried about her brand reputation if the surgery fails. Safi offers her a nurse uniform. Arania agrees. Meanwhile, Kunai is trying to convince Scatty to consent to the surgery. Scatty won't budge. She has accepted her fate and considers her mission complete. She built Lindworm, a city where monsters and humans live together, and she's at peace with that being her legacy. Glenn visits the medical instrument workshop and meets Meme, a one-eyed cyclops monster who brings him to the workshop boss. Glenn explains he needs specialized equipment capable of operating on dragon scales by end of month. The boss agrees but flags the timeline and the cost and the fact that piercing dragon scales has never been successfully done. Glenn says he trusts them. Meme gets assigned to make the needles. She refuses if the surgery fails. She carries that. Glenn looks at her and tells her he genuinely believes she can do it. She takes the assignment. Back at the clinic, Arania is doing recovery stitching on Kunai and asks Safi for a drink. Safi tells her nothing until after the surgery. Kunai explains Scatty's reasoning. She hated the war, spent her life building something that proved monsters and humans could share a world, and now feels her purpose is fulfilled. Arania suggests that repeating the same arguments won't change Scatty's mind. They need a completely different approach. Glenn and Cethalhi visit the workshop to review prototype instruments. Cethalhi approves. The needles are still unfinished, but the boss wants Meme working independently. Glenn reflects on his first major surgery and acknowledges Cethalhi as a genuinely great teacher, even when she's impossible. Meme works around the clock. Then Illy shows up at the clinic. Meme has collapsed at the workshop. Glenn rushes over. Heat exhaustion. He moves her somewhere cooler. Meme wakes up mid-transfer and insists on finishing the needles. She explains that this workshop used to manufacture weapons. When Scatty took over, she converted it entirely to medical equipment production. Meme has been waiting her whole life to make something that saves a life instead of ending one. This is that moment. She passes out again. She wakes up in Glenn's clinic, then immediately goes back to work. When the needles are finished, Meme invites Glenn and Arania to see them reinforced steel wire, precisely cut, built for mass production during surgery. They'll need replacing every 10 stitches due to hardness, but they will pierce dragon scales. The boss cries. Glenn thanks Meme with everything he has. Glenn visits Scatty one more time before the surgery date. She asks him to hold her up so she can see the city from his arms. She tells him something she's never told anyone. When she originally finished building Lindworm, she could have returned to her full dragon form. She chose to stay. She chose this city and these people over her own nature. She named it Lindworm. May dragons protect you. She's at peace with how this ends. Glenn tells her the city still needs her watching over it. He tells her she could still have more time, more experiences, more of the life she chose. She agrees to the surgery. Surgery day. The city waits. Cethel he explains that fire-breathing dragons carry minerals in their bodies that protect them from their own heat, hence Scatty's blue blood. The procedure begins. Scatty's blood pressure spikes mid-surgery. She breathes fire involuntarily. In the chaos, Cethel's tentacles hold the organs in place while Glenn performs the most precise work of his career. The city holds its breath. The surgery succeeds. Scatty addresses the city herself, apologizes for the scare, and promises to be present for everything that comes next. The city erupts. Back at the clinic, Safi is under the weather. Glenn insists on examining her and finds white blisters on her tongue. Safi hides under the blankets in embarrassment. Glenn steps outside to give her space and nearly collides with Scatty, who is in the best mood of her life and invites him to come play. He declines because he has a patient. She flirts anyway. Kunai, watching from nearby, is relieved when he turns her down. While the carriage is being repaired, Meme shows up and fixes it herself. Her father made carriages and the skill transferred. Scatty thanks her for the carriage and for the needles that made the surgery possible. She gifts both Glenn and Meme wine barrels. Back at the clinic, Arania and Safi are competing over who can cook a better meal for Glenn while pretending they're just making dinner. Elsewhere, Dione the giant goddess is helping the village remove a boulder from the water supply. They offer her fruit. She gives them an entire mountain's worth of food in return. Meme ends up on guard duty watching the wine barrel and is mildly embarrassed about it. Glenn comes home to find every woman he has ever treated has sent food, gifts, or shown up in person. Lulala brought something. Illy brought something. Scatty's contribution is a full feast. The clinic turns into an unplanned dinner party with every monster girl in his life at the table. Scatty, who does not typically do this, admits it's the first time she's eaten with this many humans and stepped outside her usual distance. She seems genuinely happy. Then Safi wraps her tail around Scatty and redirects her attention to the fact that Glenn came home late and brought the entire city with him. Tazelia tries to mediate. Everyone else competes for the seat closest to Glenn. He sits there surrounded by the most chaotic group of women in Lindworm, and somehow this is just his Tuesday. Stay locked in on Anirecap God for what happens next.